We wanted to talk about some things that are going on kind of in our current events here at the college. We've got a lot of things happening here at ACC. You'll probably know that there is, Austin Design Week coming up here is just starting next week. We are on the tour schedule. So if you haven't come over to visit, this is actually a really good time to do so with your mask. We'll have some extras on hand, but we do have a full mask mandate for indoors. So I am doing my live stream remotely. However, whenever you guys come on campus, you'll get a chance to actually see all of our spaces, meet some of the designers who have already moved in. We've got a new cohort. Some of their beautiful product will be on display, and you get a chance to see what we're all about at ACC. The next thing that's coming up is something called a Creative Campus Tour. That's going to be November 11th and 13th. And so we'll also be participating in that project as well. And so there'll be a lot of touring, a lot of excitement, getting a chance to see our programs and see what they're all about. So definitely mark your calendar if you've been wanting to make a tour. And we've seen a couple of you send us notes on fashion.incubator at austincc.edu, specifically looking for tours. And so if you're looking for a tour, we've got a few coming up that you may not want to miss. So November 8th with Austin Design Week, and we'll also have 2 additional ones on November 11th and November 13th. So mark your calendar. All right, so guys, we are really excited to get the week started off. Typically during this time, it's a great time for us to talk about some things that are happening in our business. Manufacturing.net just released an article regarding some changes in global supply chain and how before COVID, I think everyone's kind of, looking, how do we get back to normal? How do we get things back on track? This article is saying we don't want to get back on track. We don't want to go back to normal. We want to move forward into this new normal better than we were before. And in what way? They're talking about global manufacturing and really how are we going to work with smarter supply chains. The supply chain has been an issue recently. How are we going to work with smarter supply chains, not the traditional ones that we worked with that have huge startup cost, huge inventory liabilities, all of those things. And so what we want to do is kind of unpack this quick article by Mark Kaczynski. He is the Chief Marketing Officer at Guten. And this actually came out just about a week ago on manufacturing.net. So if you're curious about this particular article, it's on manufacturing.net, and it was on October 22nd of just this past month. We just had Halloween last night. So hopefully everyone had a safe festivities and all of that. But we are really wanting to kind of lean into some of what Mark brings up in his article about not going back to pre-COVID conditions, really talking about more smart supply chain setups for global development as opposed to trying to do what we typically did, which was really focused on global warehousing. So let's talk a little bit about this. We're going to take a couple of different steps around it. And then, of course, I'm going to bring it back to what I always bring it back to, fashion technology and sustainability. So stay tuned for that at the end. However, I think you'll see the clear thread through our talk today, just for a few minutes, to talk about where we've been and where we're headed. So typically what happens in a global manufacturing setup is we create volume. We make a lot of product because the more you make, the less it costs per piece. We are able to streamline our processes to create that garment. It's a learned activity that people still do. So in case you're wondering, people do make your clothes. Someone is stitching that garment. It is not a machine that's magically giving you perfect seams everywhere. It goes through quality control and it sits in a large warehouse all over the world. And so there are a lot of different places where your product is being made by people and being warehoused and being shipped on demand when it's required. I worked for some pretty large companies, and what they've done before is they would make, tens of thousands of units, maybe with a variety of different manufacturers, or sometimes all with the same manufacturer, and then they would wait until that delivery time came, and then they would release that on a schedule. If they were shipping it literally on a ship, It would come in about 45 days. If they're going to air the product, it's going to come out of that profit margin, and it could be like buying a plane ticket for the product. So this is now, creating additional cost, more carbon footprint. A lot of things are happening whenever we do that. And so since that was the way that we used to do it, is what we knew, what we were comfortable with, what we understood. Mark is actually saying, I don't know if this was really the best way, guys. I don't know if this is really going to take us where we need to go as a fashion industry. If we want to be cleaner, if we want to be more efficient, we want to be, more profit driven, to be more precise with the product that we're creating, less environmental hazard. What are we going to do differently in order to support business growth in a smarter way, smarter supply chains? And so what Mark posits is that we should be looking more towards smarter supply chains that allow us to do more global production networks. This may sound a little bit like what you're expecting it to sound like. Instead of making the product somewhere very far away and letting it sit there very far away until it is required or needed, that you would actually diversify your production in a variety of different countries and have it shipped closer to where the product is needed. Now, this is going to require some things regarding labor force and access and, some additional research and kind of understanding a bit more about the duty and the landed cost associated with that. We get into the nitty gritty here at the Fashion Incubator. So in terms of the fashion business, we do have some really great resources on our team and beyond that help us to talk about these more complex issues. We don't have time to get into it in a 10 to 15 minute talk. However, if you know, you know. We'll just say that. If you know, you know. But the bottom line is, for those of you who are not as familiar with what we do, the main idea is don't make a lot of things far away to sit in an empty room and then ship them, at the time that they're required. The takeaway is, let's make them closer to where they're needed. Let's make less of it if we can. And let's send it where it's supposed to be with less carbon footprint. Let's employ people ethically. Let's make sure that people are getting the right kind of labor, the right kind of pricing, costing for what it is that they do. Let's employ technology. Told you it was coming. Let's employ technology to help us be more efficient with what we're making. We have this term called nearshoring, and that's really the guts of it, right? Is just to bring the product closer to where it needs to be, as opposed to burning up, fossil fuels globally to try to move product around the world. And so this is really where we're seeing a lot of opportunities to be able to reduce carbon footprint across the board. So in terms of sustainability and environmental impact, fashion has an opportunity to do smarter supply chain by being a bit more focused in the product. He does mention some on-demand manufacturing capabilities and possibilities, and that's something that we are particularly working on here at the Fashion Incubator, really helping brands to consider how many different ways can we go to market. Yes, we can create some volume, we can create, and by volume, I mean small batch, nothing crazy. We really are not in this space or the business of creating high volume product delivery. That is the kind of the old way of doing things. We are really about kind of small batch, on demand manufacturing, and being able to work those business models with the technology that we have from Gerber Technology, with our full digital solutions package. This allows brands to be able to work more efficiently using AccuMark 2D pattern design software, 3D pattern design software, utilizing avatars. We actually have our class right now is pretty much full for the AccuMark 2D class. We probably had a couple spaces left in there, but the AccuMark 2D class is running right now. And that class is actually running through the beginning of December, and they are doing a deep dive with a Gerber technology specialist on the pattern design software in preparation for our AccuMark 3D course next fall. And so if you're curious about how do I make those cool three-dimensional garments, like I see on NFTs, or how do I, start to, plan to create my digital collection, not just a physical collection. How do I do that? This is how you do that. And so if you want to learn how to be able to work in digital products, This is how you do that. And so we have AccuMark 2D going on right now. AccuMark 3D gets started next semester. And so you'll get a chance to learn from the same Gerber technology specialist. So you'll hear it straight from, the industry veteran on how to pull those things together. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is because that is what facilitates a lot of our on-demand manufacturing. A lot of it is, in the e-commerce space that you could potentially be selling product that has never actually been physically made for an audience. Like you may have tested the fit, which you can actually do digitally now. You can test some of the materials, which you can also do some, digitally now. And then maybe you only had to make a couple of samples just to actually see it in real life to confirm that what you're about to sell is exactly what you wanted it to be. And then you're ready to go. Like if the renders online are beautiful, they're accurate. That's one of the things that Gerber technology is really known for, is that what you see is what you get. So it is a true production rendering of that garment on e-commerce. And so you don't have the confusion or the frustration of the customer to say, well, it looks like it would fit this way, but in real life, the armhole is too tight, or it's a little shorter than I thought it would be, or any of those things. And so it gives you a bit more realistic feedback. And so that's something that we're really excited about, because in the on-demand manufacturing space, if it's made to order and it's made for you, that is a completely different experience than walking into a store and there's thousands of the same, jacket or the same button-down shirt. Now, this is something that really speaks to who you are as a person, and potentially could be, customized, even more specifically. So, I love what Mark is saying here about being a bit smarter, having less inventory, being more flexible to your consumers' preferences, actually having a workforce that's more engaged, because now this is really like in the moment kind of work. This is not just rote memory kind of stuff. This is for the people who really want to feel like they're making something and they're doing something valuable with their skills and their resources. And so, that's something that we always want to see as an engaged workforce, a workforce that's getting compensated for their skills, as well as a workforce that's really growing and kind of pushing out, our, as we train here, we push out our folks into awesome jobs. We say that, a lot of times with the technology, people are like, oh, it's such a huge investment. But what we try to do is to really show how you can actually reduce your startup costs by employing the technology. And so that's something that we're working on here personally at the Fashion Incubator. But, as we look at kind of the future, we really do believe in this kind of embracing of smarter supply chains and really making sure that we're driving sustainability throughout the value chain, that we're driving fashion technology throughout the value chain, and really facilitating a customer and a product that you'll love. So we're really excited about getting the week started off. If you guys have any questions for us, always send us, feel free to send us a note at fashion.incubator@austincc.edu. We love to hear from you. Also, if these are really valuable for you, or you feel like this is a really good conversation, feel free to like our videos, subscribe to our channel, comment. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear more about what you'd like to hear about. We know that we love fashion tech and sustainability, but you guys can find some other things that you're also curious about in our business. So feel free to reach out to us there. Like, comment, subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. Have a great week, guys. And this has been Coffee Talk. See you next time.